There we go. So thank you again to all of you some of you have hung around for 9 weeks. It's absolutely amazing that you've joined us for 9 weeks in a row now. And thank you so much to those of you who have. Some of you have popped in and out over the last couple of weeks, and some of you are new for today. So welcome everybody. It's really, really great. So I'm just going to sum up. This is our 3rd week where we've been focusing on Botswana.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I'd just do a very quick summary, not to bore those of you who've already been here for 2 weeks, but just quickly an overview of what we've been discussing. So we've spoken a little bit about access points into Botswana, and I mentioned that Maun, which is the little town over here, and Kasane over here are your 2 main access points into this northern reaches of Botswana, which is the main wilderness area of Botswana. You would normally fly in from Johannesburg or Victoria Falls in, and that would be your access point. We've spoken about accessibility of the camps. You know, the uniqueness of Botswana is that this is really true wilderness. This entire northern section here of Botswana is a designated wilderness area. And I really don't think that there's many countries worldwide anymore that can that have got such vast tracts of land that are totally dedicated to conservation and wilderness. This is what makes it, as Julian was saying, such a totally unique area to travel through. So last week we spoke a little bit about the Okavango Delta here. We spoke about the Moremi Reserve, and then I took you into the western block here called the Savuti of the Chobe National Park. We looked at the different regions, water camps, land camps, and the Savuti Channel, known for its incredible lion populations, predator populations. So that was what we focused on last week. Today, I'm going to take you into a couple of totally unique areas of Botswana. In these areas that I focused on last week, they really are incredibly game-rich areas, and we looked a lot at the different game viewing, the huge concentrations of game in this area. It really, truly is remarkable, in fact. You really don't have to go very far. The game just comes to you. So today I'm going to speak about the Makgadikgadi Pan. I'd love to challenge you all to say this word at some stage, but we're going to speak about Makgadikgadi, and we're going to speak about the Central Kalahari Game Reserve. And then I'm going to take you up into this little section over here, which is called the Linyati region of Botswana. All 3 of these regions totally unique. But certainly this Makgadikgadi Central Kalahari region, as opposed to the areas that we were speaking about over the last 2 weeks, you will see are totally different from what we've covered over the last few weeks. So first of all, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the Makgadikgadi Salt Pan. This is 12,000 square kilometers of massive shimmering salt pan. This used to be a huge lake area. Many thousands of years ago, this whole area was covered in water. And in fact, they say that if you sit on the salt pan today and you look up, you'd have about 7 meters of water above you. So it's absolutely amazing to see today. It's just this massive, shimmering, vast landscape. But the interesting part is that during the rainy season, during the summer months between November to March, when the rains come, that entire landscape gets transformed into this incredible grasslands. And the rich soil from the area, obviously being a salt pan, really just creates this incredibly nutritious grassland. And you have these incredible herds of zebra and wildebeest coming through this area. In fact, it is the 2nd largest migration in Africa. Everyone has heard about the zebra wildebeest migration up in the Serengeti region, Masai Mara, but not very many people know about the incredible migration that happens in Botswana every year in this pan. So what I'm going to do is just show you a video quickly before I explain any more. It's a bit longer than normal, it's 4 minutes, but I think it really sums up a lot about the area, and then I'll tell you a little bit more. Oh, and now my video doesn't want to play. Oh dear. It was playing beautifully just now, wasn't it?
Always, you know, Murphy's Law. Yeah.
I checked it like 5 minutes ago and it was playing beautifully, and now it does not want to play. Okay, so we can either skip the video, or otherwise, if you want to give me a minute, I can get that video back again. See, I'm hoping that all my other videos aren't going to play, suddenly not going to play either.
No problem, yeah. So meanwhile, for our friends, if you have any questions in regards to Africa, please let us know. Southern Africa, like South Africa that we have already covered, you know, a little bit on Botswana. So if you have any questions,
Julian, I'm going to stop my share for 1 second and I'll be back in a sec, okay?
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yes, so if you have any questions, please key them into the chat box and we'll be really happy to answer them along. Okay. And thank you to some of our friends who have just joined us. Yeah, thank you, Bob, for coming by. And thank you, A. Tan. And welcome, Curry, too. You know, sometimes over this this virtual sessions, you get all this technical glitch every now and then. You know, that's quite common.
Sorry.
Yeah. And welcome, JP. Thanks for coming by. And we were just testing just now, right? Before the session starts, and it's, yeah, and it's playing. Okay. So as you guys know that we are going to cover Zimbabwe next week, right? Yeah, so do you guys know why Zimbabwe was once the land of billionaires? Do you know why? If you know the answer, would you mind to key into the chat box? And then we will see what the answer is. And they even have trillionaires. So anyone will be brave enough to try? Oh, Ingmar said currency. Gold mine. Andrew said gold mine. Okay, what else? Inflation. Okay, wow, great. Any more answers? Are there truly billionaires there? I suspect, you know, because the thing is that some of the people there, they have been there a long time and they own very, very big piece of land, you know. Yeah, denominations hug. Yeah, okay. You see, really our friends here are very, very knowledgeable. Yeah, that is perfectly right. Ingwa is saying that the currency, okay, is actually due to the currency. So the inflation, and that's also right, yeah, because of the inflation is so much and so huge that at one time, you know, I think in 1998, if you were to go to Zimbabwe with one piece of a $100 trillion note, $100 trillion, okay, you will only be able to buy a loaf of bread. Okay, that's what $100 trillion can bring you. So imagine if you want a can of Coke or something else, you probably have to drive a whole lorry or a pickup in order to make that happen. Okay, yeah. So that's the thing about Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe used to what you call the bread basket of Africa, because Zimbabwe actually feeds a huge part of Africa with the local produce. Okay, yeah. But then the thing is that obviously Zimbabwe is not what it is in the past. Today, as is in the past, but yet it's still a very good destination to go. And you may also have heard of this this thing some years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, of Cecil the lion. Have you heard of the story of Cecil the lion? Yeah. So if you have heard of Cecil the lion, you can actually just key that into the chat. Do you know what that is? Yeah, Cecil the lion. Yeah. So.
Hi, Julian, I'm back.
Okay, great. I will pass the time back to you after entertaining them for a while.
Thank you for your entertainment. Okay,
Welcome.
sorry everybody, I have no idea. We tested this not even 5 minutes ago.
No,
Okay.
it's okay. Yeah, things happen.
Here's my video of the Makgadikgadi area.
Okay, here we go. Nikki, I think you have to share. You have to play it full screen.
Is it playing?
Oh, just a while. Let's see. Wow, okay, it's playing now, finally. Okay, thank you, Nikki. And sorry, folks, about the technical glitch just now. I think the video is still a little bit laggy, you know. Yeah, so maybe later on we can optimize the video a little bit with these settings. Yeah. So yeah, please continue, Nikki. Thank you.
Okay. All right, great. So hopefully I wanted to just play you that video so that you can see how totally different this landscape is, as well as the excursions that are offered in this region, as opposed to the regions further in the northwest, which we've covered over the last while. So as I mentioned, this large Makgadikgadi Pans region totally transforms during the summer months and becomes this huge sort of grassland area where you have this enormous migration of tens of thousands of wildebeest and zebra coming through. So this happens in the months of November to March. And some of the camps only open during this time, during the seasonal migration, just to sort of capture that migration route. So that is one of the things that this region is very, very well known for. One of the other activities that is very popular in this region is the meerkat activity. This is just such a wonderful experience. So both Jack's Sand Camp and Camp Kalahari, there are 3 different meerkat populations close by. They are habituated meerkats. This does not mean that the meerkats are fed in any way or are pets in any way whatsoever. They are just used to having humans around, and they know that that we are no threat to them whatsoever. So what happens here is it's an early morning activity. You get up just before the sun rises and you go out into the salt pans, take some chairs and you go and sit and you watch these meerkat families waking up. So they wake up as the sun starts rising, and as the sun starts rising, they come up out of their burrows and they stand like sort of in salute, almost like a little parade of meerkats. They all stand there facing the sun and they warm up. And as they warm up, they start sort of their daily activities. And you really get to just sit and watch the meerkats in action, the activities of the family, how they interact with each other. They are just so incredibly cute. And then they start foraging early in the mornings. They start going to look for food early in the mornings, and late evenings they look for food. So these meerkats live off little bugs and scorpions and things like that. You watch them burrowing in the sand. And the fascinating thing is, obviously, you can imagine that with all these little meerkat families burrowing their way down into the sand, you know, they put themselves into quite a dangerous situation with regards to predators. So they always have a couple of the males in the group who are sort of the lookouts, and they will go and stand, normally speaking, on a raised piece of ground. So they'll either look for a little sand dune or a termite mound. And they go and they stand up and they watch around for predators, so that they can be an early alert if there's anything in the area. So what makes this really unique is that and you saw this in fact quite clearly on the video that I showed you, is because if you sit down on the ground, they're always looking for a raised territory. They're always looking for somewhere a little bit higher so that they can obviously see further afield. So they will come and jump up onto your shoulder or even sit on your head so that they can look out for predators. It really makes this a totally unique experience and very memorable. It's a very special time to be out with the meerkats in the mornings. So that's one of the excursions that's offered in the Makgadikgadi Pans. One of the other ones, which is again such a totally unique experience, is the cultural interaction with the Bushmen. So this is traditionally an area where the Bushmen lived. There's still a lot of artifacts and things in the area, and you can go out on a trekking experience with the Bushman tribe. So you spend either a morning or an afternoon with them, and it really truly is so humbling to go out into this landscape with them, where they will share hunting techniques, the gathering techniques, a lot of their culture and history. They'll share tracking experiences. They'll share how they hunt. They talk a lot about, so a lot of them don't speak English, so your guide will translate for you. And then in the evenings, if you want to go after dinner and go and spend some time with them around the campfire, they do trance dances. Some of them call upon their ancestors. It's a truly humbling experience. I think we are so far removed in modern day and age from, you know, living off the land and really learning to understand this dry landscape around them, which they call home, and to just learn so much from them. They have so much to teach, and it really is a wonderful, wonderful experience. One of the other great experiences in this area is the quad biking. So just to say, this is this Makgadikgadi region is or the area that I'm going to be speaking about is a private concession. So you won't find day visitors coming out into this region. So what they do is they'll take you out on quad bikes into the Pan. Because of the sensitivity of the environment, they use the same tracks every time so that they're not sort of going off-road into different areas. But again, it's just such an incredible way to experience the vastness of these pans, the vastness of this incredible landscape around you, and you really feel like you're just going totally into the middle of nowhere. It's such a wonderful experience. If you stay in this region for 3 nights or 5 nights, you can go to an area called Kubu Island. So Kubu Island it's not an island, it is almost a little oasis in the middle of the salt pan. And this with baobab trees and incredibly beautiful rock formations. So if you do a Kubu Island trip, you would go out, it's a 2-night trip, you'd go out in the evening, you'd get there for sundowners, they'd set up camp, they call it a fly camp, so it's just a very basic camp. But when I say basic, you know, there's bucket showers and pump toilets, but incredible meals that you're going to get out under the stars. You know, beautiful warm duvets and beds and hot water bottles. So, you know, in that sense, it's you get everything that you get a lot of what you're going to have back at camp. But the experience of being totally out remote in the middle of nowhere is just absolutely magnificent. You'd get there in the evening, watch sundowners, have dinner and overnight. Then the next day, spend the day quad biking around the Pan or exploring the baobab trees. Overnight a second night, and then the morning of the third morning, straight after breakfast, come back to camp. So this is it's an amazing activity. It does require a little bit more time. You really need to have at least 5 nights in the area, 3 nights at the camp and then 2 nights at Kubu Island to do this, but I just wanted to mention that it is available. And then the other things that other activities to do in the area, which you would have seen on the video, are horseback riding, which is a fantastic thing to do, where you just ride out across the pans or around the Pan. Jack's Camp has got fat bikes where you can go biking across the pans. So yeah, those are just and then of course you can do helicopter flips in the area as well. So those are just some of the activities in and around the area. I'm just going to talk to you about 2 of the camps in the area, both part of natural selection. This one is called Jack's Camp. This is truly probably a true iconic camp in the area. And the first camp to go up in the Makgadikgadi region. You know, you can see here the difference from all of the camps that I've spoken to you about in the last sort of 2 weeks. This is totally different. This is like a vast Moroccan tented camp in the middle of the desert. Jack's Camp is totally luxurious. You can see the size of these tents is incredible. This is about 270 square meters of tent, with huge interiors. They have a cooling system. It's not an aircon system, but it's just a cooling system over the beds. They have a wood burning stove in the tent. Private plunge pool. You can see the huge size of these decks which surround the tent. They really are, you know, beautifully kitted out with the richest of fabrics. Here you can see this is 2 big queen size extra length beds in each of the tents. Beautiful rich tapestries and fabrics. So the unique fact about Jack's Camp is Jack's Camp hosts one of the largest collections of artifacts in Botswana. In fact, it's been declared it's now a natural heritage site, and it's a natural history museum. So you will get all the different artifacts from the area, wildlife from the area, and it really is an incredible museum to go to. They have a beautiful library. You can see that the whole decor of Jack's camp is very much sort of 1940s collectible items. They have an antique pool table there. They have a spa. They have a totally big pool area. It really is a totally unique camp, and one of the sort of iconic camps of this region. San Camp is their sister property, situated on the just on the rim of the Pan. And as opposed, I'd say the difference here between Jack's Camp and San Camp, well, one of the differences is Jack's is a permanent camp. San Camp is a seasonal camp. It's only there during the migration time. And here you can see, again, this is one of the most romantic, beautiful camps in Botswana. These incredible white Moroccan tents. And here, as opposed to the rich colors and textures of Jack's camp, this is going for a slightly more minimalistic look, with really just focusing on the whites and focusing on the minimalistic sort of exteriors, just on those huge big spaces around. Again, here, this has got a yoga and meditation tent. It's got a swimming tent. It's got absolutely everything. The food is exquisite. It truly is. This is just the most romantic experience to be at Jack's camp or San Camp. Okay, so then I'm going to move on to the Kalahari. Again, here I think the main factor about the Kalahari Desert is the uniqueness of the landscape. So, it's a great combination to do with your Okavango or Moremi reserve areas, where you've got this huge density of game and water, and you come down into the Kalahari, and again here it's just about the vast open skies. The stargazing here in the Kalahari is just something extraordinary, and all of the camps do the most incredible stargazing. Just sit out at night and you feel like you're totally enveloped in the stars, because there is no light pollution around whatsoever. It feels like you're one with the stars, with that are out. It really is truly incredible. The game viewing in the area, again, is, for me, it's about the smaller things, as opposed to the big five game viewing that you're going to have in other areas. It's about the oryx and the black-maned lion. It's about the termite mounds and the scorpions. It's about how the animals have adapted to this incredible landscape. There's just so much more to the Kalahari than just the game viewing. I think the unique factors here again are, for example, just going out into the desert and having sundowners or brunch. You go out into nowhere and you sort of come across the most beautiful set table in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, and it's just such a totally unique experience that you will never forget. So that's a little bit about the Kalahari. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Tau Camp. Tau means lion in Setswana, and this camp is well known for the lion sightings. It's built slightly up on a sand dune, in fact, so the vistas over this area you can see in this top left-hand corner are just so vast. The sun rises behind Tau and sets in front of Tau, so you have these incredible spectacles of color coming through all the time. And it's situated overlooking a permanent waterhole. So really the game just comes through all the time, comes through camp. You actually don't even need to leave Tau. It's just the game just comes to you to that waterhole. Obviously there isn't an enormous amount of water around, so the game is all attracted to that. There are 9 thatched chalets at Tau Camp, and each with a little private pool. And it really is a beautiful destination out in the desert. One of the unique features here of Tau is they have a sleep out deck, We've spoken about sleep-out decks before in South Africa and in other destinations. And you can just imagine here, you can see in this bottom right-hand corner, just imagine sleeping there at night. You know, they take you through their early evening. They set you up, you have drinks and dinner, and then going to bed at night and just having this massive array of stars above you is totally incredible and unique. In fact, just paraffin lanterns around you, and that's it. It really is spectacular.
So Nikki, do you get the lions coming to share your bed at night?
No, you don't get the lions coming to share your bed at night.
Okay, yeah, and Nikki, for Tau Camp, how many stars is this star
This
rating?
is, I'd say, about a 4-star camp.
A 4-star camp, okay.
Yeah.
And I think the other question is also that we have seen some of these camps, and we can see that as far as your eyes can see, you know, the horizon is really, really very, very far away. So apparently all these camps are in the middle of nowhere, right? Yeah. And I think one of the questions that everyone will be really keen to know is that do you get Wi-Fi connection or mobile phone connection?
In a lot of the camps, so what some of the camps have got is they've got a central area. You're not necessarily going to get Wi-Fi. You won't get Wi-Fi throughout, but some of them will have an internet computer or a certain area that you can go to. I think the whole idea behind going here is to disconnect, in fact. So a lot of the camps, you know, they really discourage people in Botswana from sitting on the internet. And in fact, I always tell travelers who are traveling into Botswana, I always tell them to please tell everybody at home that they are not going to always be available on the phone, because, you know, every now and again you have families back at home who go into a panic because they haven't heard from, you know, they haven't heard from somebody for like a week. And I say, it's okay, you know, if there's anything that's wrong, I will know how to, you know, we'll know about it, but otherwise they are completely disconnecting from, you know, from the digital sphere. Most of these camps, I think one of the other things I'll just point out here, because I think this will be a concern possibly for photographers, etc. So what, for example, at Jackson Sand Camp, they have obviously a lot of these camps run on solar. So Tau Camp, for example, is incredible in that it runs entirely on solar. You can imagine that the environment here is you know, one's got to be really very careful not to disturb anything. So they get all their electricity, their hot water is from solar, electricity is run from solar, and in fact in Tau Camp, the pumps that pump the water up from deep underground is run on solar as well. They have an incredible system where the water is cleaned and totally filtered, and then it goes back into the soil. So really it is, you know, they look after the environment totally. But just to come back to what I was going to say about most of these camps with regards to plug points, for example, Jack's Camp has now recently put solar generated plug points into the rooms, so people can charge cameras, charge phones, etc. in the room points. Sand Camp has got a central area, so in their central sort of lounge area, they've got a sort of a long adapter with a whole lot of plug points in it, and then people charge, that's where you go and charge. So they don't have chargers in the rooms. And one of the most beautiful things about both of these camps actually is, you know, at night, everything is just lit up by paraffin lanterns. It literally becomes like a fairy landscape of paraffin lanterns. It's just so absolutely beautiful. So, you know, really it is time to sort of have a bit of a digital detox and, you know, and just be out in nature.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall I move on? Okay, so now I've taken you down into the Makgadikgadi and I've taken you into the Kalahari. I'm now going to take you up north into a totally different landscape, and we're going to hope like mad that this video works now. Ha.
There we go.
Relief.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to take you up into the Linyati region up in the north. And I'm going to play this video for you first of all, just to give you an idea of the totally different landscape in this region. Okay. So that is the Linyati region, and you can see now we've gone right back to the land of waterways and game drives and incredible game viewing. So totally different from the area that we were in. So perhaps just to talk about combining an itinerary now with these regions, you can see that how amazing it is to combine, for example, some time down in the Kalahari or the Makgadikgadi with time up here. What a lot of people would do is, and I didn't put it in because I don't want to repeat what we did last week, but what would really be a beautiful itinerary would be to do 2 or 3 nights in the Makgadikgadi, then go into the Okavango Delta, and then come up to this Linyati region. So that would really be a perfect Botswana itinerary, which would include a little bit of everything. So maybe just to start with, what is the difference between the Okavango and the Linyati? And I think the way that I would describe the main difference is we did the Okavango last week, but the Okavango is definitely more water-based. So here you saw from a lot of the video and the slides that I did last week that the Okavango is lots of rivers and lots of channels, very much water-based with these small secluded islands. So you're really sort of going from island to island, and it's not vast tracts of land, certainly in the western section of the Okavango. Whereas the Linyati use also land and water, but definitely more land. So huge open plains, vast tracts of land with semi-permanent river structures coming through here. So I would say that is sort of more the difference between the two. So this is beautiful Great Plains Cylinder Camp. It is Great Plains really have got the most incredible camps in the Botswana area, and totally unique. Derek and Beverly Jabert are photographers, and Julian, you may know of them. They've put out, written many books and done many documentaries, and there's been a lot of National Geographic wildlife documentaries that have been made in this area and with Derek and Beverly Jabert. So they operate the Great Plains camps, and Cylinder Camp is one of the camps. There's Cylinder and Zarafa Camp up in the Linyati region. So Cylinder is built on the sort of tributary, on the Linyati, a tributary called the Cylinder Marshes or the Cylinder Plains. It's a tributary of the Linyati. It's a semi-permanent water area. Mostly you would arrive here during high waters by boat, and you would walk across this beautiful little bridge area to get into this camp. It's on 130,000 hectares of private concession, which means that here you've got game drives, you can do night drives, you can do bush walks, you can do boating activities, incredible bird life. So a great range of activities to do in this area. The landscape is quite flat in this area, so you have these huge, again, vistas, but different from what obviously you were seeing in the Kalahari. This camp has only got 3 super luxury tents and then one suite. The suite is made up of 2 separate bedrooms. It has its own private butler, private vehicle, private chef, etc. Fantastic for people who just wanted to get totally away and isolated, or either 2 couples traveling together or a family traveling together. Flexibility is key at the Great Plains camps, because specifically this camp, because it's small, they really, for example, dining, one night you will dine, you can see in this bottom slide here, picture here, you'll find yourself dining at the end of this beautiful walkway. The next night you'll be out in the bush dining. Another night you might be on your beautiful deck outside your tent dining. So really great variety of dining venues. It's got a spa. The tents are absolutely beautiful. Here you can see the incredible size of these tents. You've got the bedroom area, huge sort of deck with a lounge area, private plunge pools, and look at this extraordinary view that you're looking out across. It really, really is beautiful. It's got a very Zanzibarian feel, Cylinder Camp. It's fairly new. It's just fairly recently been built. You can see the bathrooms, how stylish they are. Can you just imagine lying in that beautiful bath looking out over the plains? How, with a glass of champagne in your hand, how beautiful. And you can see the Zanzibarian architecture. There's just been so much attention to detail in this extraordinary camp. Game viewing in this area, the Linyati region, I think one of the most amazing things is the herds of elephant. They are constant. There's constantly elephant in camp here in this whole region. The elephants are just walking through at all times. The Cylinder Pride was, in fact, there was a National Geographic documentary filmed, I think last year, about the Cylinder Pride of lions. And wild dog is a pretty permanent feature in this area. There's always wild dogs around. And in fact, in that video as well, you saw quite a lot of wild dogs featured in the Cylinder Camp video. So truly, Great Plains, totally unique camp, upmarket, absolute attention to detail, service levels totally beyond, incredible foods, and really they've spared absolutely nothing at the Great Plains camps. They're always situated in incredible locations. They have a camp in the Okavango Delta as well, and it's a great combination to do these two. And in fact, one of the great things is they've, for next year's rates, they've included all transfers. So no matter how long you're staying in the camp, your helicopter or flight transfers are included, as well as all alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages included, including imported drinks. And in fact, they offer at Cylinder Camp, complimentary to their guests get a Canon camera. And at the end of your stay, you get to take the disc home with you, which is really great. Added value here. So then I'm just going to tell you about one more camp in this area. So we spoke about Tau Camp in the Kalahari. Quando Lagoon is part of this is part of the Quando Safaris group. Lagoon Camp is one of their camps as well, so it's a sister camp to Tau Camp. And you can see, it's again probably it's about a 4-star camp, but location-wise here, it is situated on a permanent waterway on the Quando River. So a lot of it is a lot of the activities are run around the water. So here you've got game drives in the morning, game drives in the evening, then you've got afternoon river cruises. So a little bit like Chobe, we spoke about Chobe, where you've got your afternoon activities on the water. Here again, you get on the boat in the afternoon and you go down the waterways. It really is a wonderful way to see the game and get up close to the game. They do fishing in this area during certain months of the year as well. If you're a keen fisherman, this is also just a great place to be. You can see by this picture, the elephant are in camp. They really are walking through camp. It's quiet, it's peaceful, and it really is just about being out on the water at Kwondo. Right, so those are the different regions really that I wanted to chat about today. The Linyati up in the north and amongst the waterways, and then the Kalahari and Makgadikgadi down in the south. Has anyone got any questions that they would like to ask?
Yes, if you have any questions, kindly key them into the chat and we will set this one going, okay? Yeah. So, Nikki, then start with me. Yeah. Okay, so what's the difference between the Linyati area and the Moremi area that we have covered? You know, technically the geographical range, they are quite close to each other, you know, and then you know, the things that you are getting, the land-based activity and the water-based activity, they are almost similar, you know. So why would then people go to Linyati instead of Moremi, for example?
I think two things that I can point out about that. One of them is this in the Linyati region. This is a private concession. Many of the camps, which gives you the difference here is that you can off-road in the private concessions. You can do night drives, you can do bush walks. There's a lot of bush walks done in this region. In the actual Moremi Game Reserve, Kwai is a private concession. We did speak about Kwai, but Moremi is not a private concession. So that's one of the factors. I think also just the exclusivity of this area in terms of the number of camps. So Moremi is quite a busy area, a lot of, with regards to camps. There's quite a lot of camps in the area.
Sure.
And it's one of the sort of first big wildlife destination regions of Botswana. So there's quite a lot of activity going on. The Linyati is definitely very remote. And there's not as many camps in the area. So there's not as many vehicles out. There's not as many boats out. It's a quieter region. So I think the remoteness of this region is quite unique.
Right. Okay. So Nikki, just kindly allow me to add, because I think there's two pricing structure in terms of staying in a private concession and also staying in a more government-based national park, if you would put it that way, you know. So you have actually highlighted very clearly about the differences. Like, for example, you could go on the night drive, you know, whereas in the government-controlled parks, you can't actually do the night drive, right? Yeah. So I think that is one part of the difference in terms of the pricing. And the other thing is that in the private concession, my understanding is also that, you know, they also control the number of vehicles, for example, or the number of people going for a particular sighting. So say, for example, if you see the lions, and then you could maybe have two vehicles, and then once the first vehicle move off, then the third vehicle could come in, you know, to see that viewing. But then if on a government owned or rather government controlled park, okay, maybe like Kruger. So what happened is that you can have 20, 30 vehicles trying to surround and find a best view of something that's happening in the bush. Yeah.
So what happens is in the government reserve, so in a private concession, you can't go in as a day tourist, for example. You can only be there if you are staying there. Whereas, you know, you can have a lot of overland safaris. You can have, there's a lot of campsites in sort of the government areas. So you've got a lot more people. You're 100%. You've got a lot more people, and you've got people driving in for the day and driving back out again. So yes, there are definitely more vehicles around.
Right.
More vehicles, more people, and not as much control.
And the other thing about all these lodges that that our guests will be staying at, they are actually assigned a ranger throughout, a dedicated ranger throughout the range of the time where they stay, right? And then there'll be somebody guiding them all the way. Yeah, and they could ask the person a question, you know, and this ranger is actually an expert of the area, you know, with the birds and the animals and things like that.
Totally, and I think what is wonderful about being assigned a ranger throughout your stay, which all of the private lodges do, is to the best of their ability, of course, but is the ranger develops you develop a relationship with your ranger, and the rangers are really very good about asking you what you're really interested in. So some people just really they just love elephants. They want to be with elephants. Other people might be birders. Then you've got photographers. Then you've got, somebody might just be absolutely fascinated with wild dog. And actually what they really want to do is spend time with the wild dog.
Yes.
The rangers are really, really good at assessing that and talking to you about it. Also, of course, if you spent a lot of time with elephant on day one, they will now go, okay, you know what, we saw a lot of elephant yesterday. Let's go and search for the wild dog, or let's go and search for the lion. Once you've seen that, they're going to say, how do you feel about, they'll take you on something completely different each time. The whole point for the rangers is they want you to experience everything, and they want you to experience all the different uniquenesses of the area. So they will make sure that over a 3-night stay, you've really had a total package, a total experience of the area with all the different game available, as well as, different dining venues and different experiences at the lodge as well.
Yes, but just kindly be reminded, folks, that because this is in the wild, this is wildlife. Although that the rangers will try very hard to find your wish list, but then nothing is guaranteed. Like for example, you could be there maybe even for a week, but you don't get to see the wild dogs, for example. So the only thing is that Africa will beckon you again to come back. So the next time, better luck, and then you will see the wild dog. So yeah, but I think the wild dogs are very, very difficult to see nowadays. In fact, this is one of the hardest to see wildlife in Africa. Okay, and because they have such a wide expanse of the territory, they own something like 5,000 kilometers, of territory, and they are they are actually the most successful hunter, in predators in Africa. So generally, you wouldn't want to see a wild dog feeding, because the wild dog would literally eat its prey to death, from the back. Yeah. So all thanks, but that all this knowledge come from my dear Uncle Kumar, who's also in the audience today. He's the one who taught me all this. So thanks to him. Yeah, but yeah, that's the interesting thing about wild dogs, and one of my greatest fascination. And Botswana is really one of the best places that you can go to see that. Okay, so yes.
Sometimes you can be lucky, and you'll get a wild dog pack that will den quite close to one of the lodges, and that is really such a fabulous find if that happens, because they'll den in a certain area, and then at least where they're coming back to you. You're 100% right. They traverse such incredible amounts of territory when they're hunting. But especially if they den when the babies are young, then it's just wonderful.
Yes, yeah. So I also like to thank our friends from Facebook who has joined us, and Jerry from Facebook. Jerry is like a staunch supporter. He has supported us for so many weeks, and he was saying that, oh good, then he can actually learn horse riding over in Botswana, right? I mean, you can go there to learn horse riding. Okay, yeah. And we have this question also from Stella. Stella is asking, is the Mokoro only can be experienced in Okavango Delta, or it can also, it is possible in Linyati area?
So at certain of the camps in the Linyati region, you can do the Mokoro, and it's also dependent on the water level. So remember I did mention that this is a semi-permanent water stream. So it's very much dependent on the water levels as they come, the flood season comes in. But definitely at certain times of the year, Mokoro is available.
Right, okay. So just for the benefit of our friends here, the Mokoro is actually the dugout canoe. Okay, so it's handled by your trusty ranger at the back, for example, with a long pole, and then he just push through the banks, you know, to push the Mokoro along. So it's actually a very, very unique experience, very, very fun, very nice, you know, and you can literally touch the very cool waters. Yeah, so that's really
the
nice.
most amazing thing is just the stillness when you're on the Mokoro. You know, you literally
Mm,
are at water level totally.
yeah,
And you're going slowly, and you can just, there's no noise, there's no motors, there's no engines, there's just nothing. It's just you sort of absolutely at water level with the water.
mm,
You know, as you just go past the lilies and you see, you know, the different thing, the frogs and the lilies and the insects. It's just such a beautiful experience.
yeah, that's true, Nikki. Okay,
Mm.
so we have a question also from Eugene. Eugene is asking what number of nights stay is optimum. So
Okay.
how many nights should you stay? Mm,
All right. Eugene, I always say, to me, the optimal stay is at least 3 nights in a camp. You know, people forget that 3 nights is really 2 full days in a lodge. You normally would arrive late after, you know, afternoon, and then you're going to leave after breakfast sort of the next morning to move on. So
mm,
3 nights gives you 2 full days, and I would really say that that is the optimal amount of time. You know, having said that, and we did speak a little bit last week about this, it really just depends. You know, if you're doing a holiday where you're only going to Botswana and you've got, for example, 9 nights, I would definitely recommend 3 nights in 3 different camps, and you've really got a great combination trip. What a lot of people do is they want to combine with, for example, a bit of time in South Africa and then maybe going to Victoria Falls, and then they've maybe got 4 nights in Botswana. In that case, I would sort of, you know, you can do 2 nights in a Delta camp, and you know, and 2 nights and 2 nights. But definitely 3 nights, I would say, is optimal.
mm. So actually, at the bare minimum, it's nice to put in maybe 5 nights, right? That's,
Yeah.
yeah, for Botswana.
Absolutely. You know, if you had to, for example, do 2 nights in the Kalahari and then 3 nights in the Linyati, that would be great. I would say, yeah, that's perfect.
Right. So how far is, for example, the Kalahari from the nearest town that, you know?
Now, you would fly in. So
Mm,
we spoke about that as well previously. You know, most of these camps you're going to fly into, for example, you know, both of them, just the amount of time, you know, that you would waste being in the vehicle if you had to drive down is just not worth it. So it's normally about a 1.5, 2 hour flight down.
mm. Well, 2 hours flight, if you have to drive, it's going to be a long time.
Yeah, if it's drive, you're going to be a long time, absolutely. So you wouldn't want to do that.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. So Brenda would like to ask, vaccination or medication necessary, you know, for Botswana?
Okay, so Brenda, Botswana is a malaria area, and I would definitely recommend that you speak to your local doctor or your clinic about malaria prophylactics. Yeah, it
Mm,
would definitely be necessary.
right. Okay. But it's not a yellow fever zone, yeah?
No, no, no. There's nothing else necessary. You don't need any other funny vaccinations or anything, just malaria.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So are there any other questions from our friends here today? Yeah. So this is our final part on Botswana, and after that we are actually moving on to Zimbabwe next year. Next week, not next year, next week.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, and I think that Botswana is really a very varied destination. There's a lot that you can cover there, you know, in terms of the desert area, the waterways, yeah, you know, and then you have Chobe with the national park on vehicle, for example. So you can actually do quite a bit from there. And obviously you can also come in from Victoria Falls. So you get to see a lot of water, and then more water in Botswana, which is really unique. Yeah, and just remember that because Botswana comes with a lot of water, so that's why there's an abundance of wildlife there, including bird life. Yeah, so a lot of opportunities for photographers. So the other thing is that in places like the Kalahari, for example, Kalahari is famous for its black maned lions, right? So that is the reason why also National Geographic goes there to photograph them. Yeah. So I think that this is one thing that for you guys who have seen a lot of National Geographic. Yeah, so do look out for the Kalahari. You know, this is a very famous area to look out for. Yeah, and Nikki, you did mention that you could go there and do stargazing and then do the astrophotography. But you're out there in the wild, and I remember in the Kalahari, you can't even see your hand in front of you if you turn the lights off, right? Yeah. So if you were to put your hands in front, you know, you won't be able to see it, and it's that dark. That's why you could actually see the stars so clearly. But what happened when you are looking at the stars and the lion is looking at you? You know, somewhere.
Why they always have rangers around. You see the rangers are there to look after you.
Yeah. So generally, I think that you know, one part about the safari, okay, that I like to mention is that you know, that's just a very magical experience that obviously with money you can buy that, you know, but you still need a lot of effort to go out there in the wild, you know, to such a remote place to experience it, you know. And I would also like to share with everyone here that, you know, in fact, that is very unique. Imagine that it's so dark and you're out there, the rangers are with you, you know, but animals are also looking at you, you know. It's that adrenaline rush that you get, you know, through your blood. But at the end of the day, there won't be any problem, you know, because the animals will, know that people are always there all the time and they leave them alone, you know. Yeah, so that is really fun. If you're looking for safari experience, do really try, if you can, look out for a private concession, you know, and you can actually go out to enjoy things like that at night. Okay. Yeah. So finally, if we don't get any questions from our audience today over the next 30 seconds, I think that we have this session, you know, in place. So thank you, Nikki. Thank you so much for this. Yeah, okay. And yeah, thank you everyone for bearing with us with a little technical glitch, you know, but it's bound to happen sometime, you know. This is Murphy's Law. So just nice that it happened this time. And we have such a wonderful audience. So yeah, thank you so much for your kind understanding. Yeah, so we really enjoy presenting Botswana to you guys, and thank you for joining us in this journey to Botswana. So we hope to see you guys back next week again, okay? Yeah, so next week we are going to cover Zimbabwe. Come and I will show you that I was also once a billionaire in Zimbabwe. Yeah, I'm going to show you. Yeah, are you, Nikki? Maybe you are too, right? Yes. Yeah. So come by and then we will show you that. Okay. Yeah. So see you guys next week. Same time, same place, same channel. And thank you so much. Okay. Yeah. Have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.
Okay.